Hey everybody, this is Coach Faith from Mind.Body.Spirit Integrated Coaching. I'm doing this quick recording just to get you all introduced to myself and what it is I do and how it is that I can be of service to you and help you out. Some of you have replied to the ad that looks very similar to this one about healthy as possible. So I'm assuming that if you reply to this ad, you have some health concerns and you would like to see how is it that a health coach can help you. So let's get started with that. What does health mean to you exactly? We all have our own ideas and ideas about what health really is. But what I want us to have a look at is basically what the World Health Organization says health is, and this is the World Health Organization's definition of health, and that is that health is not just the absence of disease or infirmity, but a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. Now we're going to break this down for you, and I'm going to deal with each and every little nuance of this sentence. And this is basically my motto, why I started the health coaching and how it goes about. If we can look at a few statistics, and I'm going to just ring that out for you and read it out to you. Basically, there are about 41 million people each year. That's equivalent to 71% of all deaths globally are caused by non-communicable diseases. What non-communicable diseases are really? These are not viruses or infections. Somebody, you can't get it from sneezing on somebody. You can't get it because of something that is airborne. You basically get this because of lifestyle changes, because of the way you live and the choices you make on your day-to-day life. Now, 71%, that is a humongous percentage. The people are struggling simply because of choices that they make on their day-to-day lives. And these include cardiovascular diseases that cause most deaths in the world, okay, or about 17.9 million people annually. Now that is followed by cancer, which is 9 million, and then respiratory diseases, which is 3.9 million, and diabetes, which is 1.6 million. All these can be avoided. All these, in some way, are a direct relation to how one lives their lives and can be avoided. It is not something that is out of your scope for you to help yourself. And this is what makes me so passionate about health and how it is that we can help one another. Because there are points in times when, yes, you do need your doctor and you do need that trauma care. But then there is those times in lives when, honestly, if we take a look at it, the cause of it all, it doesn't come down to genetics or whatever, but it comes down to choice and way of life. And this is what I'm going to be talking about to you today. Why I'm saying that health is possible for just about anybody and everybody. All right. Now let's have a look at this. In which area of this definition do you lack? All right. According to the definition, I've just broken it all down. We're talking about mindset. We're talking about the social, disease, infirmity, and how lifestyle falls into that. Now, within the mindset, now your mental health is everything. So what we're going to do is look at the physique of a person from the head all the way down. What is happening in your head? Your mental health. There's disorders that affect mental health. Now, other statistics is that one of the most common non-communicable diseases, the top 10, is Alzheimer's, asthma, cataracts, chronic kidney disease, chronic lung disease, diabetes, fibromyalgia, and heart disease. All this are non-commutable, which means that they can be highly affected by how you live your life and the choices you make on a day-to-day. Now, why is it that we know what to do, but we don't quite do what we know is right. And I'm going to be looking further into this as well. And then there's the social aspect of it, relationships and communication, disease. Disease, basically the imbalance and the disorder that happens within your your body. It's a chemical disbalance. It's a chemical disorder that happens in there. Why and how that comes about. Infirmity. Infirmity, of many of us look at infirmity and we think, oh my goodness, it's a hopeless case, or it's a case where I have to live with this for the rest of my life. But it can either be that, or it can be an opportunity for change. And your body's way of saying, okay, pay attention to me. I am an important part of your life. You can't just live in your old house. You need to take care of yourself. And our lifestyles, basically our lifestyle is basically our responsibility. How is it that our habits shape our lifestyle? And the power to influence our future with the choices that we make today. Now, the different issues that affect our mindset, it's basically either if we choose to live our lives in a negative sense, where everything is all about what other people are doing to me. It's about lack. It's about, I don't think I can do this. You limit yourself. This has a humongous effect on our health. And our health is basically not just related to how you feel at the given moment in time, but what lasts for a long period, what lasts for the future. What you used to do yesterday, as even as a kid, affects how you feel today and how you're going to feel in future. Okay. Now, another study also has mentioned that um, as much as health is not just merely the absence of disease and infirmity, but it's a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. So if you have these limiting beliefs, you're not healthy. If you are always not moving around like you should, and one of the negative parts of that can affect your mindset is also not being able to move yourself in order to get yourself, you know, getting out of the bed in the morning, looking forward to your day. It can fall under laziness, but what causes laziness? I mean, there isn't anybody who growing up, and when your teacher asks you, what is it you want to be when you grow up? And you raise your hands up and said, I want to be lazy. Nobody wants to be that. But there is something that happened that got you stuck in that laziness mentality. Now we need to break that. We need to dig deeper into what caused it and what is it that made life easier for you in order to live within that sort of like lazy mentality. And when we say laziness, we're not just talking about a bum, somebody who doesn't want to do anything with their lives. Okay, you can be a driven person that wants to get something in life, but when it comes to putting action behind your words, you suddenly just freeze. What causes that? We'll deal with that as well. Another thing about mindset is thinking that, oh my goodness, this is impossible. It cannot be done. So many things around the world has been done which have been thought to be impossible. I mean, I've heard of women who are in the late 80s, early 90s climbing Mount Everest. Who would have ever thought that is possible? And then you get people, excuse me, excuse me, you get people who are a lot younger than that who are unable to do that. Why is that? It means that 80, 90-year-old lady took very good care of herself, believes in herself, her mindset tells her that she can do anything. And I mean, she challenged herself even before she got onto that mountain that, no, I'm not going to die. This is not going to kill me. And then she had to challenge her body and train for it. And she had to also challenge maybe the beliefs of other people, family and friends. When she announced that, oh, I'm going to go climb Everest, Do you think everybody was happy to hear that? No. There must have been a whole lot of people who said, oh my goodness, you're putting your life in danger, you're being irresponsible, whatnot. And she had to shut out those outer influences as well. So this is something that we all have to deal with. How then do we deal with that? And then there's the why me mentality. Why me? Why do I have to suffer? Why do I have to go have trouble? Why do I have to fail? Why my life has to be difficult? And we've got to change that kind of mindset to why not me? Because the people who are in life were able to reach greater heights are those who said, why not me? Who took those challenges and create and made them stepping stones instead of stumbling blocks. Yeah. Now, how mindsets really affect our health? Our negativity, basically, it's fear, and a lot of it has got to it relates to fear. And what fear does is that if if you can picture an animal, okay, it's a buck, for instance, and it can basically feel when there is a lion in the area and it's just about to get hunted and killed. What happens to that buck is that it either freezes, can't do anything, it stands on one spot, or it starts running. And there's a chemical reaction happening within the animal that happens with us human beings as well. When we feel that we are under attack or something that is happening and we don't want it to happen, there's a chemical reaction that happens in our body, and our body releases what? Cortisol. And this constant release of cortisol within our body over a long period of time then creates chronic inflammation, and that inflammation is the breeding ground for disease. So you get how then our mindset directly affects our bodies and our ability to be healthy or not. Procrastination and activity. We deal a lot with this. People say, okay, I don't have time to exercise. I don't have the energy. I'm too big to start exercising. I have a heart issue, so I can't exercise. Whatever reason you give yourself. Okay, we were meant to move. As human beings, we were meant to move, not to sit still. We were not meant to be idle. And the minute you do that, it affects your circulation, which will then affect your heart health, your blood pressure, and so many different things. So why is it that you're procrastinating? Why is it that you haven't been able to move? And that's another thing that we can help you with. We can build a regimen that works specifically for you and your needs according to your likes and dislikes. I mean, you can never get me to start jogging. That's just something that I won't do. I don't like it. I hate it, actually. But I absolutely love building strength. I love building muscle. I love stretching my muscles. So weight training, I'll do it. I'll do Pilates. I love that. And I like going out in nature. So not something that is very dense in flora, because I've got allergies to grass and all type of flora. But you find what works for you and you make it work. And if you can't do that by yourself, you get someone to support you, an expert, and that is what I'm here for. Okay. And then the negativity part is hurt other people. Basically, if you go around life feeling like you are a victim, what happens is if you watch the patterns, people who go out shooting other people, molesting or abusing other people, it's usually people who themselves have gone through life feeling as though they are the victim to life. They do not have the power to change. They do not take responsibility for their own lives. So once you see that kind of pattern in your life, just cut the umbilical cord, get onto it quickly, deal with it as fast as possible, so as to make sure that you are not hurting your loved ones, people around you, and you're not hurting yourself as well. And then there's the frustrations in life and frustration usually comes from a place of bewilderment and powerlessness. when you feel you've tried everything you can, but you're not getting anywhere. And that now breeds frustration. And then people, depending on how inclined you are, but for most, especially for men, frustration then builds up into violence. And for women, it's this passive hatred, either of another person or of oneself. They internalize it. Okay. Now, the other side of mental health is positivity. Now, positivity, when you are feeling happy and you are joyful, start thinking about when the first time you fell in love and you had butterflies in your stomach. You walked differently. Basically, you felt lighter. You had a skip in your step and you didn't feel as hungry as before. You didn't need to snack every 2 minutes. You hardly even, you could skip a meal and you wouldn't miss it. Um, your clarity of thinking, you find yourself being more creative. All of a sudden, you start writing poetry, or things like that. That is joy. That is actually happiness. What that does, it positively influences you, which then affects your environment and affects those around you, and turns you into an influencer. So this is very powerful. Everything has a butterfly effect. And I want you all to think of that, and to really internalize it. I feel that, this is something, an aha moment right there, okay? Now, the difference between happiness and joy, and I'm saying, now with happiness, you get those endorphins working, and your body releases those happy hormones, and you're feeling wonderful. With joy is then the maintenance. All right, this is the part where you're looking under the hood. We're talking about your character, your belief systems. We're talking about what is it that you do when people are not looking. Integrity. These are the things that build joy. When there is a gap between your ideals and your principles, and your actions and how you act on a day-to-day basis, if there is a gap between that, you're not going to be happy. You're going to be self-destructive. You're going to feel like there's something missing in life and you can't answer to the reason why, and you're going to feel stuck. Then it boils down to frustration, depression, whatnot. You see how everything becomes a cycle? So we need to close the gap between what is it that you know to be right, your principles, and your day-to-day actions. Once the gap is closed and the two are made one, then you're going to thrive. You're going to be at your very best. All right? Activity basically helps a lot with that. There's been studies that have proven that people with especially depression, just going outside helps them immensely. A lack of vitamin D, a lack of just being in the sun can actually make one feel depressed. So just going out, even if it's just for 5-10 minutes in a day, it helps. It doesn't have to go to the office, then go straight to the house, then to the car, and whatever. Just give yourself 5-10 minutes, early morning, late afternoon, whatever. Just get some sunshine. That helps a lot. All right, and one of the greatest deficiencies today is vitamin D deficiencies. So do that for yourself, do that for your health. It affects you both mentally, physically, and in so many different ways. And creativity. Let's think about that. Let's talk about creativity. When you are being creative, at that moment in time when you fell in love and you started writing poems, songs, and all that stuff, what did that make you feel like? You started to feel like nothing is impossible, like you can achieve anything and everything. How do you think, when the person who created electricity, who discovered the light bulb, after he discovered them, what was going through his mind? Like, oh my goodness, if I can do this, what other things can I possibly do? And that is why it is so imperative. If you can change anything today, right now, just to improve your health mentally, physically, physiologically, in everything, in every way, be more creative. Take up a hobby. Start painting, start writing a book, start keeping a journal. Keeping a morning journal is a wonderful thing to do, or an evening, because most of us, just before we go to bed, that's when we sort of like take account of what has happened throughout the day and whether our day has been worthwhile or not. That's a great time to start journaling. And then you put those things to rest, especially if you're having a hard time sleeping. By journaling your thoughts, you basically are taking them out of you and putting them down somewhere. And then your brain can stop thinking about them over and over and reenacting them in your head the whole time. So those are a few tips I think takes very seriously. Then there's social health. Social health is extremely important in a day when we are all dependent on, oh, I've got so many uh, followers on Facebook and Twitter and whatnot, but you can't seem to say hello to your neighbor. That is unhealthy. All right, we were meant to live as a unit. We were meant to live as a society. And when you cannot maintain healthy relationship, you slowly start to self-destruct. You slowly start to lose the will to want to live. Okay, those who have a healthy relationship live longer. It has been proven. Why? Because they have something to fight for. Whether they fighting to stay alive because of their kids. Many a times I've heard people say that I was so overweight, but I didn't realize until my child ran into the road and I couldn't run after my child. I couldn't catch them in time because I ran out of breath. I was so unhealthy and I realized I needed to start losing weight. That was a turning point. So do you get that when you start to realize that, okay, you got a purpose higher than yourself to live for. That helps you to want to fight. People who have been diagnosed with cancers, who said, no, I'm not going to let this cancer kill me. I'm not going to give in to it. Why? Because I have small children who I need to live for. There is a lot to be said of the human will. And this is where social health comes in. Are you able to maintain a good social health? And that then marries into communication. Communication is sort of like a give and take. It's just something that we learn earlier on when we're babies. And we learn from our moms and dad how to communicate. Then as we grow up, in our teens and we start meeting people at schools, then we learn more about how is it that we communicate in social situations. And then it moves on to our workplaces and then our romantic relationships. And then you realize that there are different ways of communicating for each given situation. Now, with communication, there will always be that part where there is a little missing link, because we don't just communicate with our words, but we also communicate with our bodies, our body language. And sometimes when there is a gap, a miscommunication, where someone is not able to quite understand you correctly, then you find that um, there is what we call that missing link, where you need to then explain yourself. For instance, in the picture you see right here, uh, one person says, no, this glass is half full. The other one says, no, it's not half full, it's half empty. Tomato, tomato. They're both looking the same thing, they interpret it different. Perception is everything. And the best way to see how powerful communication is when you see people whose jobs, it's basically dealing with people who are either suicidal, or people who are basically, let's say somebody has held someone hostage and they bring in a hostage negotiator. That person has got to be a very effective communicator. He's got to listen very carefully, listen to every cue, body language, how the person phrases their words, to get to know in what mental state that person is in order to negotiate effectively. Each and every one of us has to try and really build the skill, work on it. Every day, try to find a way, even if you just give yourself once a week or something, read, listen to books or something that will teach you and how to be a more effective communicator. It affects everything in your life. It affects your relationships, it affects your career, it affects how well you're able to make a good living for yourself. Because if you're a good communicator, you're a good negotiator, right? All right. Now, the most obvious part about our health, the part that everybody thinks about, and that is disease. Our body's way of communicating, basically, that's what disease is. Um, how we give and take in the communication of disease is basically, if you give your body toxins, what does it give back to you? Disease. It gives back cancer, right? I mean, if you can wake up from morning to evening, most of people, this is how we live right now. Just because you saw somebody in a movie who can drink Coke every day, eat burgers, and you think, okay, I'll live my life that way, and then you think you're going to get away with that. No, it's not going to happen like that. Because what you're doing is that you're filling your body with toxicity, and you've got no way of relieving that. And what that happens is it builds up, and then one day your body just says, I can't take it anymore. As much as our bodies were meant to be very resilient, but you cannot basically be self-destructing every single day and expect it to cope with all of that. Okay, when you take away rest from your body, it responds with brain fog. You get to work, or you don't know where you put your car keys. You don't know where your wallet is. You're suddenly forgetting people's names. You don't know. You forget your words in between a presentation. This is happening as a direct result to what you're doing in your body. You basically, if you do not exercise and you do not eat well, you've got nutrient deficiencies. That's a direct result, and you're not sleeping. Alright? And another thing that people do a lot that is very often is that they basically have an argument with their body by suppressing its warning signs. So you've got a headache, and you decide, okay, now I'm just going to take a painkiller, get rid of the headache, and do not look at the causes of why you woke up in the morning with a headache in the first place. Are you dehydrated? Do you need more to drink more water? A lot of people walk around being dehydrated. Another thing is that might cause chronic headaches is your blood pressure being high or too low. If your blood pressure is high and you keep on taking painkillers all the time, doesn't deal with the problem of the blood pressure. At the very worst, what will happen is that your blood pressure skyrockets so high that you get a brain clot, blows, you die. No warning, very fast. Okay? What doesn't happen instantly sometimes is that blood pressure continues on into your life and it starts to kill your kidneys slowly. And then you've got kidney disease. If you don't deal with that still, your blood pressure also affects your heart. Do you see how that one simple thing, a headache, can affect so many things within your body? And that's why it is imperative to take responsibility for one's own health. Okay? If you ignore your own body's needs for nurture, your body starts to fall apart. There is a reason why we say your body is a temple. Treat it like that. Nobody goes to a temple and says, okay, let's take all the gold and all the silver and all the great stuff in here and throw them out. and let's go take all the sand and all the gunk and just throw it in. When you walk into a temple, you revere it. People wipe the dust of your feet. Some people actually leave their shoes outside the temple when they walk in. You revere it. And people don't have the same reverence for their bodies. And a lot of us live as if we've got another body somewhere that is waiting, that we have cloned, and we can just jump into it after we've messed up the first one. But it doesn't work like that. You mess up this one, there isn't another one, it's done, it's finished, you're out of here. So let's review it. Infirmity. Infirmity is basically what people live with on a long term. If you've already been diagnosed with heart disorder, if you've already been diagnosed with kidneys failure, whatever it is, or depressive or depression or anything of that sort, that is an infirmity. Something that seems to be long term. Now, how you respond to that is dependent on everything we've already spoken about. Your mental health, your social status, how you're able to respond to take responsibility for your life. Because if you are willing to take responsibility for your life, then you're more willing and able to change your habits, which changes your lifestyle, which then affects your infirmity. Then suddenly that thing that is supposed to cripple your life is not anymore. It becomes a stepping stone. Alright? Our ability to respond and take responsibility and act with creativity and a mindset of possibility. Basically, when you become creative about infirmity, when you start to look at it in a different perspective, other than, oh my goodness, my life is over, I just have to live on this medication and take 100 pills for the rest of my life. When you are changed with an infirmity, when you're challenged by it, and are forced to face your mortality, you find yourself at a crossroads, and you either choose one of two things. Either you give in to fear, and you say, oh my goodness, I can't do anything about this, or you respond in a place of power. And power only comes from taking responsibility, from having the ability to respond and say, I'm the one in the driver's seat here, not this infirmity. Now, your lifestyle is just another word for habits, basically. Like we spoke before, when you do something repetitively and on a consistent basis, this then becomes your habits, and your habits are then expressed into your lifestyle. Same way like a tree. When a tree starts to, from its roots, it takes in water, it takes in nutrients, and as it constantly keeps on doing that, what happens then? It buds up, it starts to grow leaves, it starts to grow branches, and those branches get green, and then you have little berries and flowers, and then it blooms into fruits. Then it can give others shade and whatnot. Same thing. When you have a repetitive of good habits, and you keep those habits going on a consistent basis, your lifestyle starts to be good. So if you want a great lifestyle, the ones that you always keep on seeing people taking pictures of on Instagram and stuff, all you need to really do is change your habits, reverse engineer it, and you're going to have that lifestyle. And the one part that the World Health Organization didn't necessarily deal with, but I do add this into my coaching practice, and that is your spirituality. Why is that I add this into it? Because it's imperative. Spirituality basically gives people a higher meaning for their lives. We are not all placed on earth just to live, breathe, eat, accumulate stuff, then die. There is a higher purpose for why we are here. And when you are reminded of that and you live into that meaning every day, then there's a lesser chance of you feeling as overwhelmed, frustration, and depressed about life. Another thing is that apart from giving you that recharge that you need, it also helps you to hold yourself accountable, because then you have a code of ethics. You've got a moral code that you can live by, and it's not just you do whatever you can get away with. If you can get away with it, you'll do it, sort of kind of way of life. It holds us accountable. No matter what religion you are, no matter what club you belong to, each one has its own rules and its own way of living. And the number one rule basically is just love. Love of yourself, love of your fellow men, love your body. And when you do that, you live according to that, then you can thrive. And another thing in spiritual practice that is very important is forgiveness. When you deal and you when you deal with people who are ill, most of the time you realize that, and you come to notice that people who have um, unforgiveness that they have held on to for a long period of time, they're the ones who are most susceptible to getting ill. And why is that? Because whatever you do to your body, it's like taking in food. You're either feeding yourself poison, like they say, harboring unforgiveness, it's like taking poison and hoping that the next person dies. It's not gonna happen. So how do you let go of that? And part of having a spiritual practice is helping you in that regard also, to let go of all those harbored emotions that might not be good for you. And this is a very important part. Okay, so we're not talking about lighting a candle, doing some goo goo gaga stuff. We are talking about real practice where you are then accountable. You're holding yourself accountable. It doesn't all come down to, oh, God is going to do everything for me. Life is going to be, I'm going to speak into it. As much as we believe in the secret and whatever you think and feel comes to you, that is true. But then you got to get up and do it. One of the aha moments, the greatest advice is pray as if though everything is dependent on God. And then after you get up from your knees, work as if though everything is dependent on you. Then you've got both sides working in your favor. And that's all I'm saying. That's what spirituality comes down to. Okay, so what is it that I can do as a health coach in order to help you to achieve all of these that I've spoken about? Firstly, let's start with specific, measurable results. This is what health coaching is all about. The difference between hiring a health coach and hiring a counselor or a psychologist, psychiatrist, the difference in that we also have therapy, or a talking therapy way of dealing with things, but ours is measured by a specific result that you as a client want to achieve. If you come to me and you say, health coach, I can't sleep at night because I am afraid that my type 2 diabetes is going to result in my arm, leg being amputated one day, or my dying an early death. So the result you want is to change your life, change your lifestyle, everything that we spoke about, in order to make sure that that doesn't happen. Then as your health coach, I then move in and say, okay, according to this specific measurable result, this is how we're going to go. This is the program, this is how we're going to do it. And then I take you step by step how we change from mindset, from your social status, from your nutrition standpoint, from your diet, from the journey basically back to a place of well-being. All right. And another thing as well is that you might have been struggling with is accountability. Now, a coach is there as well as your accountability partner. Basically, they will lead you on and sometimes be tough with you, tell you the things you don't want to hear in order to get you to that result. So if you are hurting yourself and or hurting other people, as your coach, I'm going to tell you. If you come to me after a session and I've given you some work to do, and you say, oh, I didn't get to do it because I didn't have time or whatever, you make some excuses, as an accountability partner, I'm going to have to hold you responsible and say, look here, you said you want a specific result. In order to get the result, you're going to have to work for it. So if you don't want to put your shoulder to the wheel, what then? How else do you think you're going to get those results? Why are you still hurting yourself? And that then leads on to what in LP we call, what we do is that we change the language within your mind. What are the things the communications that's happening in your head that are replaying inside your head and are stopping you, and you keep on procrastinating all the time? I help you with that as well. And this is also falls into strategy. A health coach is a strategist. We another way of dealing with this is we come up with a roadmap. Like basically, if you say, look here, I want to get from point A to point B, right? And then you put into your GPS system and say, okay, GPS, I want to go to a garage near me. And the GPS does what? It tells you, okay, drive straight, after 5 meters, turn right, after so many meters, turn left. That is strategy on how to get to your state, to where you need to be. And that is what a health coach also does. I'll come up with strategies on your behalf that will help you move from where you are to where you want to be. All right? And then there's advice and library of information. And this is when it comes down to basically, as a health coach, I have studied and have been numerous studies, but one of the things that I've studied as well is over 100 different dietary recommendations. So we look for one that works specifically for you, for your lifestyle, your likes and dislikes. And then I'm able to advise you and say, okay, you want to go on paleo? Fantastic. Here's the roadmap. Here's what paleo, how it works. Here's the recipes. Here's the advantages and disadvantages. Or maybe you do come to me and you say, no, I want to go on a ketogenic diet. And I say, well, let's look at why. Why do you want to go on that? Is it because your friend is on that diet? Does it work with your specific DNA? There is a reason why your fingerprint is not the same as the next person. There's a reason why your DNA expression is not the same as the next person. So why then would you think that you feed yourself the same thing as the next person and you would get the same results? It doesn't necessarily work that way. Because you are an individual with individual needs. You need individual nutrition. And when you talk about nutrition, we don't only talk about food, which is a passion of mine. Nutrition is a great passion. But we also talk about what deals in the mindset and social aspect as well. We also talk about your finances. What is it about the way you deal with finances? How does it talk to your choices in life? How does it speak to your communication, your social, your upbringing? So many things that are affected by how you deal with your finances. And coach, as a coach, I deal with that as well. And coach can also be a very great listener. And this is where we dominate. Okay? My job is to listen to you. And This is the part where people think, oh man, just having somebody listen to me, how can that be really helpful? Truth of it is this: we're all very busy. We all have our own issues that we're dealing with. And your friends and your family members at some point can get pretty tired of listening to you all the time going on about whatever it is. And they might not even offer valuable advice or a way forward that is strategic and that gets you to a certain result. And so having somebody that is there to listen and then offer strategy and results that you want is invaluable. Lastly, the confidence to do what it takes. What your coach would do, especially if you're struggling with limiting beliefs. And that's the reason why I did not only take on health coaching, I took on life coaching and neuro-linguistic programming all together. Because I knew that in order to get the best results, one has to change one's mindset, has to change the language that happens within their head, and then have to change their habits, and in order then have to change their nutritional intake in order to say I am healthy. And so your coach gives you that confidence. I mean, you've watched the sports coaches, right? Basically, it's the same practice. A sports coach maybe would look at, like, for instance, Michael Jordan, and he really wants to hit that goal, but he's having a bad day. All right, maybe he had an argument with somebody, whatever, and he's not having a great day. The coach is there to say to him, look here, you get your head in the game. You are here for a specific result. That result is to win this game. Let's do it. Let's do what it is you came here to do. I've given you strategies. I've given you I'm here to hold you accountable. Let's do this. And suddenly he gets this boost of confidence that he can do it. Whereas before, he wouldn't be able to. The motivation to move forward and not procrastinate and not pull it off and not have this discussion in their head that I can't, but I can, I can, I can. Yes, that is what a coach can do for you. So let's get on to a conversation and talk. Okay? You don't have to waste another minute of your life being unwell, whether it's in your body or in your mind or your spirit. Like I said, I'm schooled as a life coach, as a health coach, and in neuro-linguistic programming, and I can be of help to you in any one of those given things, so that you can truly live, truly experience a thriving well-being in every aspect of your life. All I need from you is one promise: constantly show committed, focused energy in the direction you want to progress. Which means constantly follow the strategies we advise. Follow and listen and be coachable. And there is nothing that we cannot achieve together. Help is here right now, and help is possible. You can live the best life possible in every area of your life and thrive and live the lifestyle that you know will bring you to the place and point in your life where you just wake up every morning looking forward to seeing tomorrow. Now let's get on to a call, a discovery session. But before that, there is a link I'm going to send to everybody on my mailing list. But if you are watching this from YouTube or any other social media channel, I'm going to put a link below where you can take a little survey. In that survey, I'm going to ask you a few questions, and you're going to answer those questions for me. And then we can get onto a discovery call. You go onto my Facebook, and on my Facebook page, you click on Book Now, get on a discovery call, and on that discovery call, basically, the whole idea is to find out whether or not we're fit for each other. Can I help you? Are you indeed coachable? And am I the right coach for you? Are we able to work together? And if we are, then we'll take it on from there. And that's what the discovery call is there for. Okay, so you go on the Facebook page, you click book now, we book a discovery call. If not from the discovery call, you also click on the link that I'm going to send to everybody for a little survey that you take. It's very quick, 5 minutes, and you're able to answer a few questions so that I can measure your commitment level. I want to work with people who are committed and are willing to do what it takes to get to where they want to in life. Thank you for your time and for listening. See you later next time. Goodbye and God bless.